What is the energy of this lunar eclipse in Pisces? What area of your life are you being asked to surrender into? To have faith, to not know where the river of life is taking you, urging you, pushing you to go into what can very well be very uncomfortable. This video, we're going to talk about this lunar eclipse, but really we're going to be speaking about the bigger and deeper cycles that are at play. Because when we speak about astrology, when we speak about these energies, we are not speaking only about a single moment in time. We are speaking to and looking at this greater weaving of the tapestry, of all of life itself, the universe, as well as this collective human story and our own unique stories and journeys. So if that sounds interesting, please stick around. There's a lot to unpack here. This is not a meme. These astrologies, this moment in time is not enough. Or I should say, it's too much for a 3-minute short or a 30-second soundbite. We are speaking about very deep stories that are taking us into our own unconscious, as well as this deeper pattern of humanity itself that we are being pushed into, encouraged to lean into, oftentimes what is very uncomfortable because it is new to us, to our consciousness, to our souls. My name is Christy Whistler. I am an evolutionary astrologer as taught by Jeff Green and Timothy Halloran. So we are speaking about very deep concepts. This is not just love, light, and fluff, right? We're speaking about our consciousness and the soul itself. And that's much of the wisdom that I will be bringing through for you here in this video to help you to understand this moment in time, yes, but the bigger stories and cycles that are at play. So when you know what those are, you know what those energies are, you're better able to move with them, to flow with them, rather to be constricted and contracted in fear, in worry and doubt, and you become frozen, unable to move forward and to follow whatever your soul's unique calling is. I'm also an energy practitioner, so if you couldn't tell, I'm already bringing in not just the astrology, but the energies at play as well. Some of what you may be experiencing at this time, several weeks before, or even what's going to be opening up for us this next 6 months and even this next year ahead into 2026. If you are needing support right now, if you are feeling very humbled, very lost, like you're wandering through the desert and you have no idea what to do, where to go, or even what to feel or what to think, I do recommend reaching out. I offer one-on-one support with astrology birth chart readings, intuitive readings, as well as quantum healing to help those frozen parts thaw and start to create new neural pathways going forward. And one of the reasons I mention this is at the equinox in September 22nd, I will be launching my new website. It's chrissywhistler.com. And when I do that, I will be launching my new prices. So if you want to lock in an appointment with me at the old prices, you need to do it quickly. I have very limited availability in September as I'm going to be traveling with my kids. So I'm not going to be around too much. So if you want to schedule an appointment and you haven't already and you've been on the fence, I really encourage you to do so now. And as I said, you'll find all that information at my website, chrissywhistler.com, where you can go ahead and schedule an appointment directly from there. If you find this video helpful, please do me the honor of hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, because it really helps me so much to reach this other audience who's wanting something deeper than what the current algorithms are reacting to. So thank you for your help and your support in all of those things, and that one's free. But really, thank you. It means a lot every time you do that. All right, so I'm going to start to drop into this energy. I'm filming this on September 6th. Uranus has already stationed retrograde in Gemini, and really just 24 hours away from this lunar eclipse in Pisces. So we're in a Pisces moon right now, and not just this moment, but this whole explanation of the energies of what this lunar eclipse is has been very difficult to name, to pinpoint, to land. It's very fluid, it's very flowing, and it's going to be very, very unique and different depending on where you are in your life and what are the experiences that you are needing to have. So more than normal, I'm feeling this, it's like catching smoke, holding the mist of what these energies are, because they are so fluid. They are this constantly flowing, moving thing. And again, different for each of you. And there's also a prominent theme of perfection. And I spoke about this in my last new moon video. It's still a theme. This perfection, needing to get it right, and recognizing it will never be perfect, because life is always flowing, Pisces, always moving, always changing. There is no perfection when there is this constant fluidity and this constant movement. So here I am, I was even looking at, I've got all these notes, and I'm just sort of like, I don't even know where to start with it. Like, oh my God, I don't even know. So I'm sharing that as well. If you're finding this mirrored in your life, it is a theme. It's a theme with our moon's nodes being in the Pisces Virgo polarity, and it's very highlighted right now with this, this eclipse season that we are in, this portal. It's also going to be, well, I think I'll go back there in a minute. I'll just park that for right now. I'm going to take a step back. If you are unfamiliar with eclipses, this is the time of year when everybody remembers that astrology exists, because it actually can help make sense of what the hell is happening in their lives. Because eclipses can bring about sudden change. this complete change of direction, this message coming in from our soul being like, dude, you're going in the wrong direction. It's time to course correct. I'm going to force you to do that. I'm going to open that door and try and shove you through that. And can you get the memo? Can you get the lesson that I'm bringing in for you? So that's in general what eclipses bring about. This is when it's playing. This is when the sun and the moon are either aligning or opposite in some way to the moon's nodes, which, as I mentioned, are in that Pisces Virgo polarity. So this is this new intention that our souls as a human collective are wanting to grow into, to push into, to evolve into, which is Pisces, which is going to be this theme around our lunar eclipse, and I'll get there in a minute. At the same time, there is a review of the past. It's the South Node in Virgo. So these themes are being highlighted. They are being brought to our attention in a way that is making us look at them, not to be distracted, to shove things under the rug. Nope, I don't want to look here. Eclipses are pushing us to look at them. And if you have planets that are being highlighted at this eclipse, you are really, really going to feel that. And as I said, if you want to know how this eclipse season portal is affecting you, please do reach out for a birth chart reading. All right, so the truth is I can't speak about this lunar eclipse if you don't understand what began at the new moon that we had August 22nd at 0 degrees of Pisces, because that moment set the tone for this 30-day cycle, 27. This moon cycle began at that seed planting moment, which is so much about service. And it can even be this remembering what Virgo is in your life. Are you being of service? Are you waking up to share gifts and skills that you have cultivated for lifetimes? That's the south node of the moon moving through Virgo, which on the other end of this lunar eclipse in Pisces, we're going to have another new moon in Virgo on September 21st, 22nd, depending on where you live, at 29 degrees of Virgo. So that one is going to set up for the next moon cycle, but it's also, because in its eclipse, it's striking the gong, setting the tone for the next 6 months. So can you see what I mean? But I can't just pluck out this one energy and tell you what to expect tomorrow on the 7th, because that's not what's happening here. We are weaving in these cycles. We are weaving and working with a greater story of humanity and our own souls. So you may be experiencing this particular moon cycle, which began end of August, a humbling experience, humility, you being taught humility in some way, or a hollowing out of old stories, old mental stories that were preventing you, keeping you from shining your authentic light and expressing that out in the world, letting it be seen, letting it be heard. Perhaps these have been stories of self-criticism, that you are not good enough, and you will never be good enough. That overly self-critical thinking is kind of this lower octave of Virgo, because Virgo wants to be of service. It wants to help. It wants to give back. You can think of Virgo energy as a nurse or a doctor, very procedural, wanting to be of service, wanting to help other people to heal and to be made whole. And yet, again, there can be too much focus on imperfection, too much of hollowing your ego out, that there's nothing left except the old stories of, I'm not good enough. Or you can think of the monks who would self-flagellate themselves, harm themselves because they've sinned, because they were born human. So that's what I mean about, this is where it can go, this deeper distortion. So depending on your life and your experience, you actually might need a humbling of the ego. Like, there's a couple people on the world stage right now where it's like, no, you actually need to see where you are not perfect, that you are not perfect, and that you actually need to rely on other people and to get that critical feedback to make things better, to be of service to the whole of creation itself. And on the other end, you actually might need to stand forward. Stop self-harming yourself, whether actual physical harm or more than likely mental harm. Stop it. Because you have very unique skills and gifts that the world needs now more than ever. So you need to reclaim this brightness of who you are at a deep, authentic soul level and take your place in that night sky and shine. Shine your fucking ass off, because we need it. So, again, very difficult to speak of these energies because of all the ways that they can be going. And any moment in time, it might be, oh, I actually do need to humble myself. And another one, it's like, ooh, I'm doing it again. I'm being too self-critical. I need to stop that and remember my greatness. So it's this balancing act that was reintroduced to really help bring about change. A creative tension to force us to face those old stories, those old energies. Right, so clearing that energy. What's also at play here is this. Again, I'm going over the new moon because you can't understand this full moon if you don't know what that seed that was planted. And I really encourage you to think about your life, to reflect, to contemplate what is coming up for you right now. Because that's going to help you find your unique flow with all these energies. What this remembering, this introduction of Virgo, of your service back to the greater whole, is asking of you. So sit with this, reflect on this. This is not going to be a mental, okay, I got it, I figured it out. Because we're working with that Virgo Pisces polarity. Like, this is trying to understand the unknowable. To see both the single wave, the single drop of water in the ocean, and to also see the whole ocean itself. That's what we're working with here. That is what's making this very difficult to even speak of, because it's the finite little details and how they all fit together, Virgo, these procedures, these processes, and it is the totality of the all itself, Pisces. All right, so that new moon that we had end of August, this particular yod configuration, this finger of fate to Pluto, which is bringing us deep soul stories that are coming up and asking to be transformed. And it's not about getting it right. It's about refinement, going this way and going that way, and leaning into back and forth, narrowing in on what is working. So there's this energy of the soul past, of the unconscious that's happening. At the same time, this other arm of this yod is going to Saturn and Neptune, which has been the story of 2025 and into 26. So there is this experience, Saturn and Neptune are moving back and forth, almost coming together, not quite hitting that exact conjunction, and moving back into Pisces. So there is a dissolving of illusions, Pisces. There is a dissolving of structures, Saturn, of governments, of institutions. This is happening at the Aries point, 0 degrees of Aries. So are we seeing dissolving of just about everything on the world stage right now? Governments, institutions, you can especially see it here in the US. We are absolutely experiencing that and seeing that. That is the movement of Saturn-Neptune doing this dance. Saturn is now back in Pisces. Neptune is just a sliver into Aries. So what we are experiencing now into fall time is there is a tying up of loose ends, of this dissolving of structures, of governments, our belief in our governments, this belief in our institutions, as well as pharmaceuticals, medicines. That's part of what Pisces is bringing through as well. At a more personal level, this can be dissolving of your job. Saturn. Is the job and the work that you are doing truly heart-centered? Is this what your soul is wanting you to do? And if it's not, you may very well be experiencing a dissolution of that job, or this stripping away where you can see the illusion of the American dream, for example, or what your parents had conditioned you, Saturn, into believing what your life would be like. You go to school, you go to college, you get a degree, then you go get your job and you have the white picket fence, like all those things. And please adjust those conditions for wherever you are in the world, because it's going to be different. Whatever those are for you are probably going through this complete melting down. And as it's doing so, it's bringing you this opportunity and asking this question: what is the calling of my soul? What is your heart? This idea of true goodness, true love, like what is that spark within you? Where is it calling you to go? And you may be really getting a sense of that this eclipse in Pisces. There can be some kind of illumination from what you experienced 6 months ago at the start of this eclipse cycle that this Pisces new moon is showing you. Perhaps it is this job that's dissolving, and you're finding that way into surrender, to faith. That's this North Node is really pushing us. So you can have an existential crisis in your life. You can also have this real magical opening that's coming for you. So, and this is what I mean, like it's very hard to define something that is so nebulous and so fluid. Just to give you a little concrete example, for my family, Sean's job dissolved, and it was in the corporate world. He makes video games, and it was like the self-critical, nitpicking, never good enough distortion of Virgo was very, very up for him. And as we've gone through this whole experience, I mean, it really started a year and a half ago, but very highlighted the last eclipse cycle. And then it was none of the corporate jobs, none of the big video game companies, those doors were opening for him. It was so clear that it was like, no, you cannot go in this direction. The divine spirit, this Pisces energy, it was just like, you can't go that way. This door is closed. And that is this, your soul is asking you to go over here. And so as he's surrendered to that, and there's this deep faith experience, which existential crisis, right? Like, where's this money coming from? As we've moved into that as a family, it's been very interesting to see where the flow of energy has been taking him into this completely unexpected direction. This entrepreneur opening into something new, that, and then the pieces that were coming in, they were just landing in his lap, of sending a text message to somebody he knew from back when my daughter was born, like 13 years ago. Like, this whole new thing opened up, and it was like, whoa, like completely guided by the divine, him following his intuition. And now it's this whole new door that's opened that we never even knew was there. So this is kind of what I mean about this working with the Pisces energy. So where is that coming up for you in your life? How is it showing up for you? Whether it is that existential crisis that Pisces is, where you have no control over what is happening to you. And again, just look at the world stage, look what is happening. You could very well be one of those people here in the States who are suddenly losing your health coverage because of choices that people in our governments and the administration have made. Now you don't have health care. That was nothing that you did, and yet this thing is now happening to you that's putting you into this crisis of your health, of your money, of all the things. So I'm just taking a moment to really explain that, because I said this Saturn-Neptune, that's what it's doing, and it's not done yet. We're not going to get that new seed planted moment until springtime of 26. All right. The reason as well I'm taking a moment to explain that is this new moon that we have the end of September, this solar eclipse, is going to be right on top of Saturn and Neptune at 29 degrees of Virgo. Yeah, they're going to be right there. Let me just pause for a moment. What did we say? they're going to be opposite. I was like, I knew there was something going on with the math. As I said, Pisces moon. I'm doing the best that I can. So those Saturn-Neptune themes are going to be extra highlighted at the end of September. So if you're highly sensitive, you're probably feeling that already now. And there is this energy of going into the past. So what you may be feeling, what this existential crisis, or this, again, this dissolving of beliefs, these illusions, these conditioned expectations, obligations from society, from our parents, all of that, it's not just about this here now moment. This is a deep past. This is deep soul unconscious stuff, memories that can be surfacing that we need to go into. That process of remembering in order to move forward, in order to remember who we truly are. So just be aware if you're having this experience of like you're getting knocked back 5 steps, or maybe you just got knocked back in your ass again. And this stuff is really deep and really painful and really hard. And you're like, I thought I was done with this. That's why. This is this deeper energy. We're going into the deeper clearings and the deeper healings. So to bring us into this ability to, again, remember who we are, to tap into these gifts. This ability to be a healer, to be a priestess, to hold that space in middle. That's some of what this Virgo energy is. And then as you do that, it's how can I become this divine channel for God, for Source to flow through me, so I may offer myself, my gifts, my skills, my heart back to the world, back to the all that is. But that's not necessarily going to be easy and served on a silver platter, is it? Because this energy that I'm speaking of as well has so much to do with empathy and compassion, true goodness. And that is not something that our society, Saturn, our parents, necessarily have taught us that, or rewarded that, or pushed us to develop those skills. So there's a lot of repression and oppression of that we are healing through, and that we again are remembering this, where you may have been persecuted in the past for being deeply empathic, deeply empathetic, deeply caring, deeply compassionate, and again, persecuted for it. When that is exactly the energy and the people that we in our world need to step forward now. This spiritual mastery of being an empath, of being a caring, compassionate, good, loving person, where our actions are coming from a place of goodness, are coming from a place of love. How is that showing up for you with this new moon? And again, this north node is pushing us into what's uncomfortable. And if your soul remembers being persecuted in the past for being a healer, it's probably not going to want to just skip out the door and go do it again, right? This lunar eclipse is also conjunct Nessus, the asteroid Nessus. So it's this energy of the buck stops here. That's the higher octave that we are being encouraged to lean into. Yes, this is actually really uncomfortable for my soul. My soul remembers being burnt at the stake and all the things. And yet, I am no longer going to mask who I truly am. the goodness, the love that I hold, these gifts that I am bringing through. I'm not going to hide that anymore. I'm going to anchor in to strength. I'm going to anchor into love, and I am going to be that shining light in the world because the world needs that now. And that act will be my service back to the collective, back to the world. The buck stops here. Those old stories that have kept you small, kept you hidden, your light dim, right? Like all the things, because society did not want you to be who you really are. There's this opportunity to transmute those stories into light. All the ways you may have been oppressed and repressed, and say, I'm not doing that any longer. I am going to shine. I am going to claim my spiritual mastery. Saturn in Pisces.
Over here, okay? My sister's gonna be over here.
That's really cute. I just had a kid run by. I'm filming this at the community pool. So it's probably a sign for me to start wrapping this up and just trust that I'm doing as good as I can do with all this information. All right. So I've also been bringing in the energies of Orcus, who is conjunct the South Node right now and will be right there at these eclipses. Okay. Okay, so just to bring in a little bit, we are really entering into some very revolutionary times. And I'm speaking so much of Uranus right here. Uranus just stationed retrograde today as I'm filming this. It's now retrograde. Uranus, remember this new moon cycle began with 0 degrees at Virgo. End of August, Uranus was in a square to that. So very revolutionary energy, this pushing to break free of consensus society, consensus belief, consensus stories, those mental stories and constructs that we've been telling ourselves. Now we have Uranus going retrograde. So this is very progressive, very revolutionary. There's this energy of this stuff isn't working. It is time to make a change. So, sudden, unexpected changes still highlighted. It's not going away. And Uranus, September 21st, will be in a trine to this new moon, solar eclipse, as well as a trine to Pluto. So this Uranian, it's time to bring change energy, is not going away. It's going to start really to intensify, bringing us into even a year from now when Uranus will be square to the moon's node. So it's intensifying, it's building. There is this pressure to break free and to try something different. And at this new moon, Uranus is in a quintile, so it's a very faded aspect. So where in your life is it time to break free, to bring about new change, to experiment, to try something new? I do hope this is all helpful. As I said, we are working within cycles within cycles. There is going to be something illuminated for you with this lunar eclipse tomorrow. Some truth being highlighted, a completion. Where do you need to surrender, need to let go, need to have faith? And where is the magic for you? Where is that calling you towards? That spark within you. The part of your soul that is part of the whole ocean of life. There's a lot of potential for working with this magic, working with this flow. And as you hear behind me, all the sounds of water, which is very much Pisces. So just, again, just know that we're doing cycles within cycles, that what's happening now is sandwiched between these energies of Virgo. These new beginnings, this remembering how we are each meant to be of service back to the world, back to the collective. And as I said, if you would like to understand more of that story for you and your soul, how and why the shit that's happening to you at this eclipse is, like what the heck's happening, why is it happening, do please reach out. Again, you can go to chrissywhistler.com, schedule an appointment within the next few weeks, because September 22nd, those old prices are going to be gone. The new ones are coming in. So schedule it, book it now to lock in at the old prices. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Please share it with your friends. I really appreciate that so much. Hang in there. I know this is big, deep energy that we're working through, these dissolving of old stories, just really hollowing us out, helping us to remember who we are. And who you are is exactly who the world is needing at this time to step forward and to shine your unique light. Thank you all so much for watching. This is more than likely is going to be the last video that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be going away, as I said, for 2 weeks, but I will be having more for you when I get back, as well as a new website that's easier to connect and to work with me. Thank you all for being here. I look forward to hearing how you are doing and how these eclipses are coming in for you. But either way, know that I am with you and standing right alongside you. Thank you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.